The Source. Uh-oh.
Is that what I thought it was?
As long as you don't think it was me running over a sprinkler head, then no, it wasn't.
Oh, brother.
Don't worry about it. I'll just add it to the honey-do list.
If you had signed up for Mike Scott Plumbing's irrigation package in the first place, you wouldn't have to do anything.
What? Mike Scott Plumbing does irrigation too?
Yeah. I told you they have packages where they take care of everything.
Yeah, but I broke it, so they're not going to cover that.
But with their annual irrigation maintenance plans, you never have to pay for another service charge or broken sprinkler head ever again, regardless of the fault.
So that means I break it, they fix it.
That's what I said, Mr. Genius.
Okay, you win. How do I sign up?
I thought you'd never ask. Call Mike Scott Plumbing today and ask about their irrigation maintenance plans. 237-2888. That's 237-2888.
Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
We are proud to announce the Conservative Watch Hour on WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM every Friday at 11 a.m. Hosted by Annie Marie Delgado, president of Trump Team 2020 Florida, and her co-host Ann Vandersteel with SteelTruth.com. We are serving a higher level of excellence, and we are the only program of this type in this market. Don't miss your weekly dose of conservative talk radio. WOCA 11 a.m. Fridays, 96.3 and 1370 a.m.
Ever said, what's happened to the work ethic? Does anyone care about doing a good job? Shepherd November, local author, will be Adam's guest on Tuesday, May 26 at 8:35 a.m. to tell us about his series of 4 books that address just that subject. From his own experiences in the automotive industry and other fields, you will hear his take on the problem. That's the 26th at 8:35 a.m. One man's take on the demise of the pride in the workforce.
Hey, folks, get your ears on for this week's super deals at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Straight from this week's big ad, you'll find boxwoods just $3.99. Frostproof gardenia also $3.99. Same for African iris and Laura pedalum, all just $3.99. For $2.99, take your pick. Bush daisy, southern charm azalea, variegated pittosporum, and much, much more. Of course, everybody's favorite ever-blooming red ruffle azaleas, still the history-making low price of $3.99. Don't miss out on this spring's biggest crepe myrtle sale. Take your pick from a dozen or so different colors, big number 4 sides, and blooming right now, just $24.99. Everything else for your yard or garden, call in your order. We'll deliver curbside. And come early to beat the crowds. Bob Wine's Camellia Garden, Southeast 38th Street, open daily till 4:30 in the same blooming place since 1952.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at Scientology.org/stay well.
WOCA. Ocala. Today and tomorrow, partly sunny with a thunderstorm and spots in the afternoon. High today 90 to 95. High tomorrow 88 to 94. Sunday, cloudy with a thunderstorm and spots. High 86 to 92. Monday, clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon. High 86 to 90. Tuesday, some sunshine followed by clouds with a shower or thunderstorm. High 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian.
This is Jan from Palm Garden. Now that our governor is slowly reopening our state, the number one question I get is, when can I visit my loved one at Palm Garden? The quick answer is that I don't know. I can tell you that we were the first to close and will likely be the last to reopen in order to protect our residents. Limiting visitors, screening, and masks will also be likely. Until we are able to see you again, we are Palm Garden.
Hey everyone, it's time to learn more about the exciting opportunities in higher education provided right here at home. Wednesday, May 27th at 10:05 a.m., representatives from the College of Central Florida and Webster University will be my in-studio guests to tell us about the latest news about the education opportunities available right now. So be sure to listen. Again, that's Higher Education Happenings Wednesday, May 27th at 10:05 10:05 a.m. Education is the passport to the future. Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, broadcasting to you live from the Paddock Mall, streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio, as we're now coming up on, it's 8:39 currently, and in the studio, we have, from the centers, again, we have Mr. Steve Blank. Pleasure to have you back with us, partner. And you brought a few guests with you.
I did. I wanted to come in and talk a little bit about the opioid epidemic, the amnesty program, and I asked Chief Graham, who was kind enough to take some time off on his day off, and also Clyde, who is personal acquaintance of ours also.
Gotcha. Well, gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio. I'm thankful to have anybody in the studio because I've been doing this stuff a lot by myself lately, and a lot of that's thanks to coronavirus. But it's good to have you guys in here. And you know, this is a topic I think you and I discussed a little bit the last time we had you on, Steve. And like you said, you wanted to kind of hit it a little harder. We have the time to do that today, and I know that's why you brought your guests with you, is to talk a little bit more about it. And with that being said, I'll let you kind of roll with it, where you want to begin and how you want to talk about it. It's an important topic.
Sure. And I know what I know from my level. I also know that there's some folks here that Clyde speaks from a personal level. Chief Graham speaks from something that he sees it at a level that I don't even see it sometimes. But as we were talking about the last time we were in, the country's in the grips of an opioid epidemic. Of course, you don't really hear about that right now because we're in the middle of a pandemic. So
exactly.
Greg and I were talking before we came in here, and the shame of it is, as you know, thousands of people are dying each year, and he can give you some more numbers in regards to this community. It seems like this problem at some level kind of has gone away, and as far as being in the forefront of people's minds. So
right.
We still work very closely with OPD. We're super grateful to for the collaboration, and folks are still getting help. But the flip side is more folks are dying now than ever before.
Right.
So I just thought it would really be good for Chief Graham to talk about what they do at OPD.
Right. Let's. We mentioned that, like we said last time we talked, but go ahead and tell the listeners just again what we were discussing about how OPD plays a part in that.
So OPD actually initiated this program starting like June of last year.
It was March of 18.
March.
Yep.
And as some other states across the country are doing, they've introduced a amnesty program which gives people an opportunity to basically walk in to a police station, which is kind of a foreign thing for people who are addicted, and a lot of them are committing crimes to support their habits because they have no other way to do it. But to kind of say, our doors are open to you. So they're providing the gateway, and then they're bringing them to us, and we're doing what we need to do to engage them and hopefully get them engaged in treatment and keep them long enough to get down the road of recovery. And I'm sure Clyde can talk about that also. So
right.
It's been really quite, it's been quite a interesting journey. I don't think it's turned out anything. Well, we didn't really know what to expect. I know Chief Graham surely didn't.
I did not.
I knew that they knew they needed to do something else. So, but I'll let him speak a little bit more because they're really on the front end, and he can give you some more
right,
stuff.
because this is kind of an interesting thing. When we say this, it's like most of the time for something like this, people who would think that I would want the option to do something about this don't know what those options are. And you pretty much blanketed and said the one option you have is to go right to the police department and say, hey, I need help.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where you guys come in.
We noticed a couple of years ago, and we started a heroin task force, and one of the things that I'd said early on, and I truly believe that there's no way in the world you're ever going to arrest your way out of this crisis. So we needed to do something more, and I remember sitting down with my public information officer and telling her, hey, look, I want to start this amnesty program where, if an addict wants to walk in our door and say, hey, I'm addicted, I need some help, that will, even if they walked in with drugs or paraphernalia, we'd take it from them. We wouldn't take them to jail, and we would take them for treatment. And I remember her looking at me and saying, do you really think anybody's going to show up here? Is anybody going to walk in the police department?
Which is a valuable question, because we wanted to try something, but you have no idea. There's no projections. There's no data that could say that this could come to fruition even.
And I looked at her and said, look, if one person walks in the door, we're successful.
Yeah.
So we started in March of 18, and as of yesterday, we're at 59 people.
Is that right?
It's crazy. Wow. And we don't really market the program because we don't have funding for the program.
Right.
We have a little bit that we try to help the centers with, but it doesn't even, it's not even a drop in the bucket of what it actually costs. And there are a lot of success stories with the people. Clyde's a success story, but it's. It frustrates me, and this really has to do anything with amnesty, but the pandemic that's going on now in Marion County, 5 people have died as a result of coronavirus.
Right.
So far this year we've had and that's in the county, 5 in the county. Just inside the city of Ocala, so far this year we've had 16 people die of overdoses.
Of overdose of the opioids, yeah.
Right. So 3 times as many people died because of this, but nobody, you don't hear it.
It's hard to bat that.
And if it's just frustrating to me because my cops see it on a daily basis, constant. So far this year, we've had 117 overdoses just this year.
Oh, wow.
So far, with 16 deaths, and we've revived 50 people with Narcan, and so on a daily basis we're going to overdoses, and the pandemic's really hit us hard.
Yeah.
But I just wish people cared as much about this as they do about the coronavirus.
Absolutely. What we're going to do, gentlemen, is we're going to take a short little break, and then I got a couple follow-ups to what you were saying there, and I think it'd make it entertaining. And then, Clyde, we're going to hear from you a little bit when we come back, because I know that's why we have you here, and that'd be good to hear. We're going to take a short break, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. We'll be back right after this. WOCA.
Hey folks, those spring discount days just keep rolling. At Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala, there's an unheard of buy one get one super buy on blueberries, just $4.99. And there's also an unheard of buy one get one free on bougainvillea, as low as $22.99. Bob has hundreds of hydrangeas, many different colors, starting at just $19.99. And as usual, all flowering trees and shade trees are buy one, get one at half price. And yes, Bob Wine's is Crepe Myrtle headquarters for all of Ocala, picked from a dozen bright and wild colors, starting as low as $24.99. Now check the ad, call ahead with your order. You don't even have to leave your car. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens on Southeast 38th Street in Ocala, in the same blooming place since 1952.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at Scientology.org/stay well.
WOCA.
Today and tomorrow, partly sunny with a thunderstorm and spots in the afternoon. High today 90 to 95. High tomorrow 88 to 94. Sunday, cloudy with a thunderstorm and spots. High 86 to 92. Monday, clouds and sun with a shower or a thunderstorm in the afternoon. High 86 to 90. Tuesday, some sunshine followed by clouds with a shower or a thunderstorm. High 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Listening to AIM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, as we're back here with Mr. Steve Blank from the Centers, as we have Police Chief Greg Graham and Clyde, who we're going to listen to here in a little bit, as we're discussing kind of the not necessarily clickbait, not the thing that is at the forefront of news, so to speak, but something that is still very important, and the numbers that we were just talking before the break continue to grow, is the opioid epidemic. And we were talking about how it's impacting our community here, and the program that that you guys are mentioning with the centers, that you guys do with OPD to get people the opportunity to say, hey, I need help. And as we were talking a little bit before the break, and before the break too, Police Chief Greg Graham was talking just a little bit about numbers of what is really kind of going on and what has been. And before we went to the break, I was thinking about it a little bit, and as you were bringing that up, it's also this idea that we had society go into this tumultuous time, this COVID-19, this world pandemic that brought along, this idea of just saying, stay home, try not to let the demons fester, do what you can to not get the virus, and by the way, try to distract yourself with TV and eating, and don't go to work. That's a heavy thing to say when you've maybe got a little issue and have the anxiety that has maybe carried on through dealing with what you have been with maybe taking opioids and all that. So I was going to ask you, what have you seen? What has been the impact with this coronavirus and the world pandemic to this epidemic?
So, I told you that so far this year we had 117 overdoses with 16 deaths, and we've Narcan 50 people. Total numbers for last year, we had 166 overdoses with 22 deaths, and we Narcan 43 people last year. Yeah. So we're going to probably more than double our numbers. The longer this goes on, the worse it's going to be. Right. But, Clyde and I were talking before we walked in, and you can think, well, yeah, I can see why potentially this would cause a problem, but his insight in why this is occurring was, I learned a lot this morning just by the couple minutes that we spoke.
Right. So Clyde, welcome in that insight. What is the insight there, my friend? And welcome to the show, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Right now, the way the pandemic, affects, impacts the epidemic. People who struggle from substance abuse addictions, especially the opioids, their anxieties are heightened. People are living in, fear of the fact that, they struggle and they want to find a better way to move forward in their lives, but it just seems like the world is crashing down on them all, and it's really difficult struggling in the state of addiction, and not understanding or just being in fear of everything else that's going on.
Right.
So it heightens that anxiety.
Right.
And
Even with the anxiety, there's probably just a level of dread that is dealt with throughout the day, because it's this idea that they want to see themselves out of this, but then when they zoom out and look at the scope of the things, like you said, with the world right now and going through a pandemic, it causes more anxiety. It doubles over in a way.
Well, there's already other factors involved in a person's life who is struggling, with addiction, and the anxiety issues themselves. There's emotional instability, and there's in all cases there's mental health instabilities in effect.
Right.
And, those factors are not, acknowledged or realized, by most individuals in society who are not familiar, firsthand, with, why this addiction thing is going on in a particular individual's life.
And then because of that, that individual who's going through that probably doesn't think that there's an outlet, that there's not somebody that they can talk to, that they're actually causing more anxiety or dread thinking about wanting to share what they're going through with somebody, because they probably understand that they're feeling like, well, man, I don't want to put all of my drama on somebody else. So then again, it kind of just circles back around. And then that's where you guys come in to say, hey, there's a simple solution, or at least a simple starting line. And that's just kind of walking into the police department and saying, hey, I think I need help.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, for me to have made that move, at first, that sounded like the most absurd idea I had ever.
That's it,
Go to the police, So, but, I wanted help.
Sure.
And, and if that help meant going to law enforcement, at the time, that's what I was willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've done, The amnesty program has helped many people in the community. It's helped, guide us, put us in the right direction, to come in contact with Steve and his staff. I was absolutely surprised that, you had members of the law enforcement, department agencies that really were concerned and were willing to help.
Right.
I had the opportunity to attend a 1-year anniversary of the amnesty program, and I had the opportunity to meet, many people of law enforcement from various areas of law enforcement, from the court system. And man, I was just, I was overwhelmed. I was shocked, and I spoke with Chief Graham that night, man, and it was the first time. Ever since that day that I walked into the doors of the police department, into the amnesty program, I've had so many firsts in my life. And coming in contact with the support of the staff that are under Steve's direction. I've had the opportunity to meet other people in the community that are struggling with this addiction. I've met people, that have, unfortunately, that have gone on and passed on. But then I've met other people that, have really gained and benefited, from stepping into the doors of the police department, which is something that, we all struggle with at first,
Because you, and to Police Chief Graham, it's this preconceived notion that you see a man in uniform like that, you're just going to get in trouble, and that's going to add more dread and anxiety. But see, that's the difference is, like you said, Clyde, it's this idea that you were kind of surprised that there was actually some compassion when you walked through the building. And, Steve, that's why you're here. That's why we're talking about this, is because there's an option like that. And for those who don't know that there might be a side of compassion, it's not the first, like I said, preconceived notion of that. And police chief, with Clyde talking about that a little bit, how the scope of the police department, it can go either way. There's this idea that sometimes it's like, oh man, they're out to get you, and then yet there's this program that you guys are doing, and you have a gentleman like this that says you helped. What kind of words do you have for somebody who says, yeah, man, I got help and I felt compassion?
So, and we talked about this before the show as well. When you become a law enforcement officer, when you become a public servant, you take an oath to protect life and property. As fundamental as it is, we protect life, we protect property. And the reality of that is we don't get to choose whose life or whose property we protect. We have to do everybody's the same. Yeah. And we owe someone who's struggling with addiction the same amount of courtesy, professionalism, and respect than we owe people who aren't struggling, or business owners or elected officials. Everybody gets treated the same. Just because someone may have either made a poor choice in their life a long time ago, or became addicted because of mismanaged pain medication. We can't judge them. It's our job and our role to help them. And I can't tell how proud I am of my officers who have embraced this program. Sure. And in fact, when we go to overdoses now, they're talking to the families of the addicts and telling them, look, we've got a program. You don't have to worry about funding. If you got insurance, great. If you don't have insurance, we're going to get you help. Yeah. And it's been remarkable to even think that, just shy of 260 people have walked through our door when I didn't think even one would walk through our door. Right. And it was a promise that I made to our community that, look, you come in and ask for help, you are going to get help. I don't care. We're not going to judge. We're not even going to write your name down. Yeah. I didn't know who Clyde was until I met him at the 1-year anniversary. And honestly, it doesn't matter to me. I don't need a list of people who are addicted. I just want to make sure they get help.
Right. With that note, gentlemen, we're just about out of time. For Steve, Police Chief Graham, and Clyde, it's a pleasure to meet you, partner.
Thank you.
And good stuff. Excellent. Gentlemen, thank you very much for the time, and thanks for coming in and keeping me company in the studio for a little bit. I like that. And you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. WOCA, we're back after this.
With China. Fox's Gernal Scott. The polls show Biden ahead with older and independent voters, groups President Trump led with in 2016. The Chinese government may be about to take more control in Hong Kong.
Pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong sharply criticizing plans for new national security legislation being proposed in Beijing. The city currently has greater freedoms than mainland China. China is dismissing American complaints, saying no country has the right to interfere.